Hang on, listen.
No, you got to have more force to it. There we go.
Do you ever think that gives him a headache? Like after 30 takes,
He's
of
probably got neck issues. Hello, everyone. We saw season 2 of Loki. We're probably the last people to upload a video on this on YouTube.
Well, but we were like some of the few people that saw the Marvels, so
Well, we did.
So we got ahead of that one.
And we're even fewer people that actually liked it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, Loki came out. If you don't know what Loki is, congratulations, because you've missed perhaps what is Marvel Phase 4 and Phase 5's best content.
Yeah, I mean, for sure.
I mean, it's up there.
It's up there.
It's the most solid out of any of the TV shows.
Yeah.
And so basically, Loki, if you don't know, end of season 1, Sylvie, who is a gender-swapped version of Loki, kills Kang.
Yep.
This season, that sets off Loki into time slipping, and he figures out all these things about Kang and He Who Remains. Not going to spoil it just yet, but this is going to be a spoiler-heavy video, just like all our other 5 things. The story is probably the first season. Everyone's like, "Man, this show is amazing," and it's about traveling multiverses and stuff like that, and dealing with time. This one is like full-on just bootstrap theory, and just like he's stuck in a time loop and he's creating time loops, and Kang is creating time loops himself.
Yeah, and there's like one main problem.
Yes.
And that's what they kind of focus on.
Which is the multiverse is expanding.
Yeah.
And they're trying to make sure that this device that exists in the TVA doesn't explode.
Yeah.
And that's basically the premise of the entire series. Very simple premise.
Yeah.
But they make it complicated.
But like good complicated.
Good complicated, yes.
Yeah.
I will say that some people are confused by season 2 of Loki, which comes with the course of any time travel or paradoxes or anything like that.
Yeah.
So it's not surprising.
Everyone kind of forgets that this is almost like its own world outside of everything.
Yeah.
And so then you start to wonder, how does this impact bigger things?
Yes.
Like, I've seen every Marvel movie, but like now I'm like, where does this fit in? And you're like, well, it doesn't have to because it's outside of it. So, and I think the other thing is that all the other series were either like set up as like a limited series, or hey, we're just gonna try it. And Loki seemed to be the one that's like, we're ending on a cliffhanger, and maybe we're probably gonna do a season 2. Mm-hmm. But then I think now that we're at this weird crossroad of Marvel and TV and what's gonna continue, what they're gonna do, it does seem like they're like, okay, let's finish what we started, but maybe we wrap it up as well, just in case.
And I think how they wrap this up is really, really great.
Yeah.
Because in the comics, Loki recently, like as of just the last few years, changed from the god of mischief to the god of stories. And so they sort of weave that in. See what I did there?
Looms.
They sort of weave it in for Loki to be the god of stories. And this is heavy spoiler. He saves the multiverse by basically tripping through time, then coming through and just like, you know what? I'm going to brute force this myself. And he just grabs all the strands of time and saves it himself. Yeah. And I think it really ends really great because not only does it play on Loki's Marvel version lore, it plays on the lore of Loki from Norse mythology. And at the very end, you see the world tree. So I think the way it ends is a nice, beautiful little bow.
Yeah.
And
but a sad bow.
But it's well, not sad. Sad that we may never see Loki again.
Yeah.
But sad, hopeful sad, in that Loki's character, we have to remember this is the Loki that tried to destroy New York.
Yeah.
And he goes through centuries worth of character development in this season.
Yeah.
And he finally learns that his purpose that he's stricken with is to protect the multiverse.
Glorious purpose.
Yeah. So it's the throne he never wanted.
Yeah.
But it's the one that he has to take.
It's just real sad, you know? And because I think, too, we had kind of said so long to Loki in Infinity War.
Oh, yeah.
And, and it kind of was like sad, but also...
Understand.
He did it. He stood up. And then to also be reintroduced, but to also be taken taken away from us so quickly again. And really, because like the idea, and this is maybe my biggest gripe, because I think it's fantastic and I love the way it ends too, but I think my biggest gripe is we kind of get this cool setup of like this almost Buffy X-Files type show, and that's hard to do. I get with like movie stars, like Hiddleston and Wilson, and just other people who are really coming up at this moment. I was just like, ooh, I would watch like 10 seasons of this of them just like jumping through time, fixing things, saving things. And so I'm glad it's a great ending for him. And it's also a little sad. I'm like, oh man, like it's just another branch, that was maybe pruned a little too soon to me.
Yeah, it feels that. Yeah, you can have that argument. Yeah. But I think at the end of the day, it's perfect. It's a perfect ending.
I'm just saying we could have had that ending like 2 more seasons.
It's like Lost. Lost probably should have ended a couple seasons earlier than it actually did. But so I'm glad that they actually made a decision. Yeah. Yes, I obviously want more of this version of Loki, because Loki, I think we can all agree as Marvel fans, is that Loki is probably the best developed character. Other than Iron Man, he's probably the best developed character.
And I think that's just also he's been there long.
Exactly.
He's hung around. Do you think Hiddleston is like done? Because he loves his character, and it's become something that like he enjoys a lot.
I think he'll do in similar way that the Red Skull did a cameo in Infinity War / Endgame. I think Hiddleston will do the same, in that he's not going to be directly influenced into the story of whatever they call the Avenger movies. But if it still is dealing with multiverse, someone at some point will probably run into that Loki sitting at the end of time, holding all the branches. It makes sense for Thor to go visit his brother one last time. Yeah. And, and Thor is connected to the mystical stuff a little bit through just like being Asgardian. Yeah. So I think there is something there to do, but you don't need Hiddleston around. And I think he's tired of, as much as he loves Loki. Yeah. He's been typecasted. Yeah.
And he's missed his chance to be Bond. The man is like what? Like he's in his 40s now?
Yeah, his hair is going away.
What's next?
What's next? What's next is the TVA, if they show up in Deadpool, have a great cast of characters to play off of. Obviously, Mobius doesn't have to show up. But they got to do something more with Obi, which is Ki-Hu Kwan's character. They got to do something more with him. They got to do something more with, I can't remember the lady's name.
Hunter B-15.
Hunter B-15. The one character I'm sad that was left out to dry is Ravonna Renslayer.
Yes. Because you even get a little backstory. At the very last episode, you're like, why are we just not hearing
And
this?
they leave her resolution. She obviously sees Alioth at the wherever, I can't remember what it is, but they leave her resolution on a cliffhanger. So it's like, we're just left on a cliffhanger. She is the most underwritten in all of this.
So I think her and I think Sylvie really takes a back seat in this one. Mm-hmm. There is just so much going on. And there is a lot of like, we're going back, now we're jumping up here, now we're going, that like, you kind of, like, it's hard to peg everyone's motivations. Because also she's just like, I killed that dude good, Like, but it's so I just feel like her story was done in the first season. But they're like, but we had to bring her back because people love her. Yeah. And it just seems like she's kind of like Renslayer, just like, oh, we did do something kind of crazy with Renslayer. We should probably try to do something.
Yeah. They could obviously come back in several types of ways. So I'm not too sad yet, but it might be one of those things like Thor having the vision in Age of Ultron. Yeah. It's like, it didn't really mean anything.
Yeah. I think Mobius and OB, and maybe Casey and B. I think that those four, your Casey's, your B-15, Mobius, and OB, they come back. Maybe for Deadpool, maybe for something. Because, I mean, they're just fun.
I mean, if they continue on the multiverse, whether they keep Kang or not, they can still do multiverse stuff.
It's clear that the TVA is keeping tabs on all the Kang variants.
Yes. And now, let's talk about Kang. If I'm Marvel and I see the end of this show, I'm like, oh, that's the perfect way to just never talk about Kang for a couple years. Yeah. So we can recast and everything. I think you just recast. But also it's a way to keep the TVA around without connecting it to Kang so much. Yeah. Now they've sort of defeated Kang in a way. They set it up really good as like, well, there's no main story. There's no main thread anymore. Yeah. So if they wanted to, and to disconnect the MCU in a way, to be like, well, they're not, all these stories are not connected anymore. They can sort of reset the MCU so that you don't have to always have these Avengers movies.
Yeah. I think with the multiversal stuff, I'm excited, but I do think it is time to, now that you've set this up, we just gotta go weird.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's the biggest issue is that like it was awesome in the first season to see like Kid Loki and original Loki and President Loki. You know, like it's just those goofy, fun, different variants. And where Doctor Strange, like the variants weren't like too different. You know, like it's, I don't know, like if I'm gonna do multiverse stuff, I just wanted to do it. Yeah. And I think that's the issue is they're kind of, like with Infinity Stones, it's so easy because they're just MacGuffins the whole time. Where it's like, hey, look over here. This is one of them. Where like the multiverse is such a big thing. They'd be like, they're a term we use sometimes around here is they're like Flintstoning. They're Fred Flintstoning, where they're just like, hey, multiverse, and then like we're just waiting for it to start.
Yeah. And part of the problem is that we don't have any Avengers movies till the end of like phase 6.
Yeah.
So it's like you think of like Avengers and Age of Ultron. Obviously, the first Avengers was a big event, and then they're like, well, we got to follow it up really quick, and they did Age of Ultron, which has mixed reviews. Yep. There are people out there that really love Age of Ultron, but it was proof that they need to do. Every couple of years, there needs to be an Avenger movie.
Yeah.
It can't be the capstone to the story like the Thanos arc was. So it's like, you got to do something Avengers, and they kind of do it in the Marvels a little bit, but not really.
I guess, you're right. They've substituted big Avengers movies to not it's like we got so accustomed to like, oh yeah, there's like 10 movies and there's an Avengers movie. Oh, there's like 10 movies and there's an Avengers movie.
Yeah.
Where now it's like, they're like, oh hey, it's like a couple movies and then like 3 Spider people.
Yeah.
And a couple movies and then 3 Marvels people. And then a couple movies and now like Deadpool next movie. You know, like where it kind of like, oh, okay, like it's not like the best, but
regardless, the future of the MCU is in trouble, both in the story and in real life. And it's going to be interesting to see what their next step is because they only have Deadpool in 2024. So they really got to nail what's happening there to get people back on board.
Yeah.
And it could be one of those things where you just like write off phase 4 and phase 5 and be like, we're starting from scratch. We're still doing multiverse, but this is a whole new beginning. And that's where you start everything. But it's hard. I know we're not talking about Loki anymore, but
it will be interesting to see next year with Echo and with Deadpool
and Daredevil.
Daredevil if it comes out, but maybe Ironheart, I guess. Maybe.
What if?
It's like it'll be interesting to see. Kind of, we're at I think the end of Loki marks a good point to be like, and with the Marvels marks a good like, where are we going?
Yeah.
And I think it'll be interesting. The next year will be interesting. You know what? Actually, this is a great way to end the video.
Yeah.
So there's a scene in a record shop. Sylvie listens to.
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about how great the graphics, CGI and everything.
It's very cool. She starts listening to the Velvet Underground. She's playing Oh Sweet Nothing, and incredible song, incredible album.
Yeah.
But I think she just puts the needle down, and if you really look at that album, that track list, like that's almost the end of the album. So she would have needed to go a little further, unless in that multiverse, in that timeline, like they put that song at the beginning.
Yeah. And I'm going to say they did because we're not CinemaSins and we don't care about that.
What would you rather be? Would you rather be dusted or would you rather be like yarned or whatever, like noodled? I feel like, would you rather be dusted or noodled,
I think noodling probably hurts.
Yeah.
Because the way you see Thanos get dusted, he just sort of is like...
Yeah. And then Kang is like...
It hurts. It looks like it hurts.
It's painful.
And it feels like it hurts. Yeah. I'm getting noodled. Just like a catfish, I'd rather be noodled.
But noodling hurts worse.
I think I would enjoy it.
Okay,
it's an experience you would never get to feel ever again.
Oh, yeah, because you did.